welcome to the Wrap. Happy almost Easter, Good Friday here on a Friday morning, squeezing a show in. Had to put George, kept telling him, how about this? No, can't, no, yeah, no. Okay, we're ready to, anyway.
There we are.
So AC/DC.
That was pretty good time.
We're post 8 days. I can't believe it's been 8 days since we were at AC/DC. It seems crazy.
I know how important this is. I took my daughter when she was 16 years old to see Tom Petty. And it was the highlight of the years. And then years later, she took me and her mother, and we went and saw Billy Joel. So it's good to go with your kids and enjoy rock and roll. Hey, a little bit loud, wasn't it?
I lost by 20% of my hearing.
I told him the hearing he lost, he'll never get back.
Walking in the hotel, talking. What? Huh? What'd you say?
Yeah, it was loud. It was a good time. About 2 hours and 10 minutes they played.
It worked.
And yeah, they're not quite as energetic or as enthusiastic as they were as far as moving around the stage, but they can still play.
Fun to listen to those old songs. In fact, when you guys were down there doing it, I went on Spotify, put up a whole list, and played AC/DC Greatest Hits for about 45 minutes, and had a happy hour for you. So it's what you do.
That was a good time. You can see he's eating breakfast. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. He hasn't just got out of bed. What? I was gone, and he didn't. What the heck? We're on vacation or what?
On vacation, kinda, yeah.
Basically.
Well, where do you want to start, George? I mean,
I don't even know. There is just so much.
Let's start with basketball.
Let's do it basketball.
Because he's got his Wolves shirt on. We might as well start there. But before we get into the NBA, we got to talk about the national championship game, because since the last time we recorded the show, that was played.
You know, it was really kind of funny, because if Houston would have won, I would have won our 30 bracket contest. If Florida wins, my wife takes second and third and is in the money. Of course, Houston blows it, Florida wins, and there's my wife. Well, I hate to say she was snickering, but I think she was a little bit. And she does this all the time. She is the hottest little bracket winner that, she is always in the money. I am rarely in the money. I'd like to say that she asked me a lot of advice, but she doesn't ask, and I wouldn't give it to her anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, it was it was a great basketball game, and the whole Final Four, the teams were so good and so comparable that it was difficult. The rest of it, I think, was a little bit lackluster, but
yeah, I think I can agree with you there. It was amazing how Houston was able to hold Florida in check for a lot of the game. I'm gonna say this. I felt like Florida was getting shafted by the officials. I got to get it out of my system. I feel like, and somebody might say I'm nuts. You watch the second half, and I felt like Houston was getting away with a lot of stuff, and then you look at the fouls, and Houston had more fouls, and I'm just like, well, it certainly doesn't feel like it. I don't know.
Florida was hitting some shots they wouldn't ordinarily hit, and Houston was missing rebounds and defense that they ordinarily pick up. There were two great teams. Florida won the game as far as I could see, and they took it down in the stretch. And the further the game went, the more my wife smiled and the more I frowned. So it was, we're talking $80-$85 I could have won on this deal, and it just that didn't work out. Anyway,
it's the way things go. Uncle Paul got fifth place in the Barkowski pool, so he was smiling. He was happy. He did well. So.
I was constantly amazed at people that follow the college game even a little bit. When it comes time to put that brackets, they're no better than anybody else. It's just my wife picks the teams on account of the color of their uniforms.
I believe that I saw, I could be wrong, that a person for the women's bracket, 62 out of 63 right.
62 out of 63.
Holy cow.
That was good. And by the way, we have to just take it, talk about the women's bracket a little bit, because UConn went and did it again, and it's been a while since they've done it. And in Paige Boker's I don't know what to say about her. When she's not scoring, she's rebounding. When she's not rebounding, she's getting assists. I don't know. She got 11 or 12 assists that game, and she wasn't hitting a lot of shots. But you know, she is such a factor on the court. And then of course, then she gets drafted number 1 by Dallas, and so
Now she's a Texan.
now she's a Texan. Yeah, no, you know, I mean, I think we should have turned in traded her for the Fauché Tower or something in Minneapolis, whatever it takes.
Could have thought about that.
To have there. Anyway, it's good to see a Minnesota girl.
Yeah,
do
the
well.
Lynx traded their first round pick and then drafted in the second round Anastasia Alari Kosu.
Hey, Anastasia, how can you not? That is a true basketball name or
something.
Russian royalty or something. But it's pretty good. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
In Cheryl Reeve, we trust. She knows what she's doing.
She's
so.
an outstanding coach.
Playing games tonight for the NBA. You got in the East. You got the Heat versus the Hawks. You got Miami versus Atlanta. Who you taking, Eli? Hot Atlanta or Hot Miami? Miami, okay.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm going to have to go with my friend there because they're both playing well this time of year, and so. But tonight's game should be kind of interesting as to just how they set up. Now, tomorrow, the Timberwolves play at 8 o'clock on ABC, so they're getting the prime time. They're going against the reformed Lakers. And they're hot, and everybody knows that that Timberwolves are talented. I think there's going to be a big crowd, and I think I'm going to be watching that game real closely. On Saturday or Sunday, then that other team plays 9:30 at night, Tim.
What are they trying to do to us, George?
I don't know, but it's just like I said, I'll try to stay up as long as I can, but. That gets to be.
Not making it easy on us Minnesota fans. I get it. It's on the Pacific Coast, and you got or the Pacific time zone. But they're not making it kind on us. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the Wolves. What's your feeling? What's your reaction? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I think right now they're playing pretty well, and you know, and they're all healthy. They're all coming back. Dante and Julius Randle. I tell you, these guys. I think that they're kind of the missing link to pull this team together. Conley's playing pretty well these days, and he is still kind of the leader. And what can you say about Edwards? He's one of the best in the league, and he promises to behave himself and not get tossed out of. I think he said something about he'll be more mature,
which means I'm going to start acting like usually that's what it means when
Mr. Tech said that.
Mr. Tech said he was going to play more mature. Yes.
Anyway, you know,
I have doubt.
DiVincenzo and Randall came on in September, which is kind of a weird time to be picking up players, but I think that they are nice additions, and they very well might come together right now.
So, a prediction?
I think that we'll see what happens, but I think the Wolves have a good shot of
7 games.
7 games.
Wolves win it in 7 games.
Wolves
That's my prediction.
Yeah, no, it's going to be all those games, but the Wolves have a chance to knock these guys off. And Jokic, I mean, he is, you know, a fantastic basketball player. There's no doubt, but he can be good and bad, and defensively sometimes he's.
Luka has a tendency to
take a break.
You know, and the thing is, and here I'll say this. They talk about Luka taking that time off, but he's now not the boss of the team per se. He was the head honcho when they played in Dallas. LeBron's the head honcho in LA, and I got a feeling if Luka decides he wants to take some time off on the defensive end of the floor, he's going to get a talking to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, LeBron James does not.
Right.
You know, he works both ends, and right now the key to the Timberwolves is to work both ends too, because frankly they can be a little bit slack. And like I said to you before, Timberwolves are the spirit animal of the indigenous people, and they are the protectors. Well, they better be protecting that hoop, clearing the glass, and getting some of those rebounds. Gobert is going to have to play. He's going to have to play a series of his life.
Well, and he's going to have to stay out of foul trouble and keep his wits about him. You know,
all the above.
So, I'll go with the Wolves. OKC's waiting for Dallas and the Grizzlies to get things decided tonight. Denver versus the LA Clippers. That's the 4-5 series. That could be a heck of a shakeout. Houston's the 2. They get Golden State, of course. The Wolves are 6, and got stayed out of that play-in game, which I liked. They didn't need to be playing that.
That's really important. And actually, when they're playing well, they're not a playoff. They're not a play-in team. They should be qualifying for that. So I think they're in a pretty good position. I'm not sure where Golden State's coming from these days, because who knows what the man's going to do. But
yeah, what's Steph going to do, and then what is Jimmy Butler going to do?
Jimmy Butler
Jimmy Butler, playoff time, he has a tendency to turn it on. So Houston's a 2 seed, hasn't been in the playoffs, this kind of contention for a while. I would not be shocked to see Golden State knock off Houston in this series.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight, and so it'll be fun to watch.
Cleveland's number 1 on the opposite side. Like I said, they take on the Heat or the Hawks. Boston versus Orlando. The Knicks versus Detroit. Detroit hasn't been in the playoffs for, I don't remember the last time they were in. And then Indiana versus Milwaukee. Again, that's the 4-5. Could be very interesting. You got Antetokounmpo and you got Halliburton on the other side. So could be a heck of a series. It'll be, we just get started on Saturday. They'll get all 8 games in, and then all 8 series started, and then things will start picking away. And I didn't even look to see when the Wolves play after Saturday night, because you just
we'll take it one game at a time for those guys. But it's one of those things where, I mean, we've gone through the whole college playoffs, football, basketball, and all the March Madness and all the rest of this. Guys, this is where sports get serious. And I mean, in all these playoff games, you notice the intensity jump up a click. You notice with the T-Wolves, and you notice it with the Wild too. So it's there.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Well, shall we move to the other playoff sports? Shall we move to a little bit of hockey?
Let's go a little bit.
Let's talk a little college first. The national championship game played on Saturday. Western Michigan, who beat Denver in double overtime. Sound familiar? They beat them in double overtime in the NCHC championship. Beat BU. I believe probably the whole country was cheering for Western Michigan. I really believe that nobody wanted to see BU win, and Western Michigan kind of went out there and kind of dominated the game. They really did.
They had a great year, and it's just like when they came in one weekend and wiped up Minnesota, and I just thought that wasn't supposed to happen. And they've had one of those wasn't supposed to happen for a while. And it it was a great season for them.
Western Michigan's been building and building to this. Watching them come and play at UMB the last few years, they've got it going in the right direction.
They do.
So hopefully the Bulldogs can come back and rebound a little bit. They lost 7 players through the portal.
Yeah.
2 of their 3 goaltenders. They added 1 back in already.
They didn't lose that World boy, did they?
They did not. No, they did. Shagabe and the Plant boys are still there.
Because I'll tell you what, I don't know how good of hockey players they are. Watching them skate, they're just incredible skaters. That long glide, you got to get that long glide. Get about 6'3" with that. Whoa. Shagabe is just. He's the most fun to watch on the ice. You don't know what he's going to come up with.
Well, and when he's playing with the Plant boys, they seem to have a connection. So it could be fun to watch next year. Let's hope.
They are smooth.
And of course, they announced the Hobie Baker Award winner last week, Isaac Howard from Michigan State. Do you remember where he used to play? For UMD.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have been the 7th Hobie Baker Award winner from UMD. Anyway. Let's move on, because that's just going to make
everybody angry. Yeah.
That'll make everybody angry. Wild versus Vegas. Vegas is the 2 seed. Winnipeg is the 1. So we'll have a couple of late nights, and I would assume even when they're playing at home, it's going to be 8:52 start time for the Wild games when they're at home. So I didn't look. Like I said, didn't look at the schedule, but they're going to be late nights. If you're a Wild fan, you're going to have to either take a nap or suffer the next day. One of the two.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be watching this. The NHL set a season attendance record with 23 million people going to their games, and it's right now. People are fired up about hockey, and so they got all those great teams, and there are some great teams, but there's some teams that ordinarily are kind of missing from this playoff bunches. So
Well, I think the Canadian fans are going to be
Canadian
happy.
fans?
Everybody happy. Montreal is back in.
Yeah.
Haven't been there for a while. I know they won it a couple years ago, but that was the COVID thing. Shouldn't even. Anyway, that's another. But Toronto versus Ottawa, the Battle of Ontario. It's going to be uncivil.
Yes.
Is that a good way of putting it?
No, the Ontario battle that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. Going to have the Battle of Florida. You're going to have Tampa Bay versus Florida. Could be exciting. And Carolina, who always seems to play well in the playoffs, they get the New Jersey Devils, which, if you look at, is the only New York team that's in the mix. No Islanders, no Rangers. That means that the Ranger fans will be whatever. Montreal gets Washington, who's the number 1 seed, and of course Ovechkin scored .897 last night. And they said that Sidney Crosby got a goal and assist last night, got to 90 points for the season. And that was like the 673rd consecutive year he had done something like. Anyway,
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, 90 points is a good year, especially considering his age. He's in that older side.
Yeah, he's almost in his 40s.
If you move out west, Stars versus the Avalanche, Dallas versus Colorado. That is going to be a slobber knocker. I mean, Rantanen moving teams and coming back around. It's going to be.
Well, because we really don't get a chance to see a lot of those Western teams, and all of a sudden they come back and we realize, my Lord, these teams are talented, and so they haven't really reached the top here lately, but they've got some very good hockey players, and so they will be kickers, and it's like I say, 23 million people watching it this year, and at 9 o'clock I'm going to be watching this hockey game, wondering what I'm doing there. But, as the old saying goes, hang on to your knickers. I think this NHL playoff season is going to be a dandy.
All right.
Yeah.
What are the chances of the Wild got to beat Vegas?
Oh, I think they got a good chance to beat Vegas. I'm not sure that, they lost to them 3 times this year, but the last time they lost, it was 3-2, and Kaprizov still wasn't playing. And so Kaprizov is back. Joel Eriksson Ek and Jonas Brody are there, and then you got this Steve Vermont. I don't know how do you pronounce it, and he came from Denver. He's a two-time gold medal winner for the Team USA. Big, strong defenseman, and they say he can go all day.
Yeah, he's a good hockey player. The Wild have been waiting for him to come out. He's special. We got Brock Faber on the blue line.
Yeah.
Now you add Uim, or however you say his name. It's tough. Zeev. I'm just going to call him Zeev, okay? Because he's got a great first name, Zeev. So he didn't play Tuesday night, at least as far as when I was watching, which I know that they had a lot on the line. I know they had to make sure they got in.
Well, maybe we want to talk about Tuesday night's game.
Yeah, let's talk about Tuesday night's game a little bit. It looked like the Wild needed a point to assure that they were in. Not that they couldn't get in. That if
they win in overtime, they were still in.
Well, but if Calgary was going to lose 1 or 2 games, they were in. But they kind of took care of business. We mentioned Joel Eriksson Ek. He scored with 22 seconds left, and then. They decided to bring the Flower off the bench for overtime, and the place went berserk. And I think the boys got even a little more excited, and they went in overtime on a bar down goal by our good friend Matt Boldy, and basically secured that number 7 spot. And that's why they're playing at Vegas and don't have to go play Winnipeg, which I hate to say it, that was a big miss. I don't think the Wild wanted to play Winnipeg. I'm not saying playing Vegas is any easy task.
No, Winnipeg's always been a tough game for them.
But Winnipeg has always been tough, and they play a little. They talked about the Wild trying to play a more physical brand of hockey down the stretch because they know they got to get ready for the playoffs, and I think they're trying to do that. But Winnipeg right now played, and this will be an interesting catch. Winnipeg played that way, I think, the whole entire year. My question is, how much do they got left in the tank? You play that brand for a long time. Sometimes you can only turn it on for the 2 months of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'll be interested to see what the Jets do against the St. Louis Blues. I think the Jets will win that series, probably maybe 5 games. It might only go 4. But LA and Edmonton play each other. Of course, they got that connection from Wayne Gretzky, right?
Yeah, they do.
From a long time ago. So it ought to be an exciting series there as well. But
Just to make mention on Fleury coming in for the overtime, number one, this was Gustafson's idea. And of course, this really would ignite the crowd, last home game and everything like that. And then he comes in for overtime, plays out of his head.
flopping around like a fish.
He was just all over there, and I thought, you know,
Crazy
this is how great the goalie is. For him to come off the bench and put in that kind of performance, you know, really kind of, well, we know he's a great goalie, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, but it's just, I sat there and watched him kick out pucks and do the rest of that. I was amazed.
His mother was trying to send him to bed. And I'm like, no. No. You're not sending him to bed. He's watching this overtime. I don't care how late it is.
I screamed when Marc-Andre Fleury did these crazy saves. I was jumping out of my chair, running
me
all
too.
around. I was just like,
It was good stuff.
No, and Sue came in, this is the time for bed, and I'm sitting on the chair. No,
No, it's not that. No, not yet.
no.
It's probably going to take me a little while to calm down too after it got all. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, it was,
All right. So can the Wild beat Vegas?
yes.
yes.
How many games?
I think it's going to take 6 games, but I think they can beat them in 6.
Some people might think I'm nuts. I'm going with you guys. I think the Wild, and this is. I don't think this is a homer. I just think Kristoff being fresh, Jewel being fresh. Yes, they're coming off the injuries. Jewel comes off the injury, scores 4 goals his first game back. The 8-7 game that I don't even know if we talked about. I think it was right up.
And Kaprizov got this one of the most incredible goals I've ever seen.
Yeah.
To win
Winner.
the
Got
game
these-
winner.
So I think the Wild are in a good place right now, and I know Mike Bolstead might disagree with us, and maybe Mike will be sitting in this chair as we get ready for the NFL draft. We'll talk more about that as we go along. But I honestly think, and I don't think this is the fan in me. I really believe that the Wolves can beat the Lakers, and I really believe that the Wild can beat Vegas in this series. And like I said, I think it's 6. I'm going with you.
Right now, I think the Wild is actually, you know, they're playing their best hockey of the year. They're strong. They're all together. No injuries that we know of, and their goaltending and defense is really, really solid.
And that's gonna be-
They're a better team right now than they were at any other time during the year.
The injury thing is something that is a concern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They really don't have a lot of wiggle room. Most teams don't have wiggle room with
Not
playoffs.
this time.
It'll be a big deal. Let's talk about the Masters.
Dad, wait.
You know,
Wait, whoa, hang on, what?
what?
Let's talk about Kirill Kaprizov's spin move that one game. Remember
The
that?
spinorama,
spinorama?
you just about put her in. Yeah, it was a pretty sweet move.
Have you worked on that one? Because you should work on that one.
What do we got to work on when we shoot the puck?
Shooting it higher?
No.
Lower?
Hitting
The net.
Hit the net. I don't care if you shoot where, you just hit the net. Don't be shooting it over the net or around the net. Shoot it in the net.
That's sound advice from your dad.
Can't count unless you shoot it and hit the net.
That's right.
So
That's right.
anyway,
Saturday and Sunday. I went down, I guess probably about the 9th hole on Saturday, and watched all these people just whacking each other all over the place and jumping all over. And then McIlroy on Sunday took the lead, and he just some of the shots that these guys were making was just incredible. DeChambeau hit himself a stroke that was about, I don't know, 60 feet long, and it's just, these guys were hitting shots that were just out of their mind. And I just, I felt real glad for Rory McIlroy. But I have to say this, that he got fined almost $3 million from the PGA for rules breach. I don't think that he wanted to go to the next tournament or something, and you got to do that. So $2.9 million fine, that would bust me. But apparently,
I had not heard that he had taken that type of fine. That's.
Anyway, he was one happy Irishman, and he was just tickled pink. Grand slams. How many?
Yeah, he got the Grand Slam, and so only one of 6 guys to do it. Of course, it took him 11 years
It's
to
taken
do
him
it.
a long
Taken
time.
him a long time,
Yeah.
and of course he's had his chances. And for lack of a better term, some people would say he choked, and probably did once or twice along the way with the Masters. But the emotions the breaking down on the green after hitting the winning putt, the walk up to the clubhouse. I think the meeting with Shane Lowry was probably the biggest one. That's just, I guess when you get to see the boys with their friends, their buddies, their pals, their amigos when they're out there, and it seems that the other player that didn't win is happier for you maybe than you are at that point because you're trying to process it all. But
in this way, I understand that Mr. DeChambeau and McIlroy did not speak while they were playing.
I wouldn't talk to Bryson DeChambeau either.
No, I know, and it's just
I
like
can't say what I want to say about him on this show.
He handed over the jacket and then he walked off, and you could see. I mean, I read people pretty well. You could see that he was upset, and McIlroy was enjoying the moment, and so why not?
Justin Rose had a great chance.
Justin Rose did.
Had a nice chance. Obviously,
Yeah.
made the playoffs. Looked like he choked it away after being the leader after Thursday and Friday. Looked like he choked it away on Saturday, but shot a 66 on Sunday to give himself a chance in the playoff. Had a great shot. I mean, his second shot was, 15 feet out, and you're thinking, I gave myself a pretty good chance, but the putt rolled by, and things didn't go so well. The thing that maybe I'll remember most, and I said to Uncle Paul on Sunday night, was Jim Nance in the Butler cabin doing the interview, and he's talking to Rory, and they're looking across at each other, and Nance starts talking about his mom and his dad and how they didn't have too much, and all the sacrifices, and you can see Rory starting to cry, and it's just
Pretty emotional ending.
And Nance voice cracked. Okay, so here's a guy who's been doing the Masters for
100 years. Yeah.
forever. Been on it, he's in his mid-60s. He's been doing the game forever, and he almost puddled right on national TV. So it's even for the announcers, it can be a big deal.
No, McIlroy, from the time he hit the winning putt, he was an emotional grab bag the whole time. Probably gonna go get another one.
Anything else on the Masters?
No, but it was enjoyable. It really was. It
was good theater.
It was great theater, and
I will admit, I didn't take a power nap on Sunday during the Masters.
no power
I
nap.
took a super nap. I probably missed Rory from about hole 5 to about hole 14. The nap was necessary. I don't know. It was anyway. So I missed a lot of good stuff in there. I realize that, but hey, and he won with 4 double bogeys. Think about that.
4 double bogeys.
Win the Masters with 4 double bogeys. You're not supposed to be able to overcome that there. Anyway, how about your Twins?
Well,
Where are we at? What's the skinny? What's the deal?
Well, let's just talk about that for a second, because they're right now they're 7-12. They're 4 games out. They are playing better than Chicago White Sox. So that
Which has the second worst record in the majors.
Which has the second worst record in the majors.
Yeah, the Twins are in 4th place.
They're in 4th place. Yeah.
But it definitely it doesn't feel like they're at 7-12. It feels like they're worse than 7-12.
It does. So they're sneaking some things out. There are some people that hitting. You know who I'm really kind of enjoying watching play ball is Mr. Buxton.
Oh,
he is
I thought you were going to say Ty France, who got the game-winning hit the other day.
He is leading the league in hitting.
And is doing very, very well.
Doing very, very well. And I was skeptical of that. No, I mean, after I watched him play a couple games.
It's only 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But where a lot of these other players are at,
we still got a little bit of problem at third, and I'm not sure just exactly where the outfield is sitting, but they'll come together. They'll come together a little bit. They got really good pitching. If you can keep Ryan chucking over, keep on working a little bit. He had good 5 innings the other day.
Pedro got hurt. He's going to get a rehab assignment tomorrow, I think I saw, down in Iowa. So the Iowa Cub fans will get to see Pablo Lopez throw in Iowa.
You got to love the minor leagues.
So we talked about the Twins being 4 games out. Tigers are in first place,
yes.
Sitting at 11-8 after last night's win. Little concerned about the Twins fans. Only 10,240 at Tarjay on Monday night.
No, it was really bad, and you know, and I tell you, if the weather is not that good, and you're playing against not so good teams, and you're playing poorly, the fans aren't going to come out, and also, you know, you've got a lot of competition there. You know, you got the Wild and you got the Timberwolves. Both are pretty exciting. The Frost is picking up pace, and so for spectator sports, it's tight.
Yeah, ended up taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets. Mets
Yeah.
probably one of the favorites in the National League East. And how about the NL West? Listen to these records. This was as of yesterday. I didn't put last night's game in there. San Diego 15-4. LA 14-6, San Francisco 13-6, Arizona 12-7. So you got 4 teams in the West, NL West, that are 5 games above 500. I understand it's only 19 games in. Colorado's 3-15. 3-15. But they were talking last night. I just flipped through the channels, and Detroit was playing Kansas City last night, and they were talking about the NL West and the fact that there's probably assured that 3 of those 4 teams are going to make the playoffs. Of course, that.
I just wonder what their player budget looks like, especially LA.
Well, LA's in like the 400 million range. They sell a lot of hot dogs and $22 beers.
That's the whole thing. And when you talk about only 10,000 people showing up for a Twins game, they have some pretty fat contracts to pay as well. And it's they got to figure out a way to get
food helps to do that.
Well,
hate to say it, not really most of the way, but part of the way.
Part of the way.
They play at the Braves
They do
tonight.
They do it tonight.
And so we'll see what happens down in Hotlanta. We'll see if the Twins can. Not going to be easy in Atlanta.
No, they got 3 games, so they're tonight, tomorrow night, and Sunday afternoon. So that Sunday afternoon game might be something I could sneak in.
Go for baseball.
7 in a row.
Won 7 in a row. What? Hello. Anyway, they and that includes 3 at Ohio State last weekend, which is hard to believe. They're at Rutgers this weekend. They're 18-17. They're above 500. I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting that. But the Gopher softball team is 14-26. They're 3-13 in the Big Ten. And my prediction is Piper Ritter will not be the head coach any longer after this season. After making it to the Super Regional, well, that's got to be 5 years ago now.
No, it's the competition right now is amazing. The women are entering the portals and going to different schools, and everybody's kind of. I mean, it is a nut house at the end of every season, just trying to figure out who's going to stay and where they're going to go, and who's recruiting who for where, and it's with all the sports, softball as well.
Yeah, good to see, and take this with all of what I mean. Oklahoma in softball is being threatened. That's a good thing. I mean, Oklahoma's been dominating softball for the last couple of years. And so there's lots of competition. Obviously, the SEC, the NIL money is definitely pushing, as we mentioned, men and women around. So we'll see what happens there. Who do you want to talk about next?
Oh, just as long as we're mentioning here, I suppose we'll probably be going to football pretty quick, but Darius Taylor is going to return for the Gophers next year. And that's nice to have, and I'm hearing some other, of course, if you ever want to be eternally hopeful, do it for football, but do it in the spring, because it comes off really, really quick in the fall, and so we'll see what happens. But apparently, they have some linemen that they have to replace, and they have a quarterback that they have to replace, and so it's Yeah,
PJ has decided not to even try to put a spring game in this year because it seems
I don't think he did last year either.
Well, yeah, because of the weather and other things. So, but yes, they lost their They got a quarterback from Georgia Tech in December, and he has decided to enter the portal. Not happy that he was only getting third string reps. Hey, I guess.
Well, I guess that's the way it works.
I guess the grass continues to get greener. Further and further into the portal you go. I don't know. It is what it is. It sounds like they're very happy with the 2 quarterbacks that they have, and
we'll see how it turns out.
All you're going to have to do is turn around and hand the ball off mostly.
To Darius Taylor, yeah, that's what I would do.
No, obviously the Gophers, seriously, you're going to have to throw the ball around, so hopefully they got a kid who can chuck the pill a little bit. They lost their California, that 4-star recruit from California, so. But you just go to the portal. There's somebody out there who wants to come play.
They're not even recruiting from high school very much anymore. They're going to the portal first. So it's
Well, we might as well talk football in 3 different types of football. First, let's talk about the Loons, who went to Toronto last week, got a 0-0 tie. That happens. But they're 4-1-3. 4 wins, 1 loss, 3 ties. They're 15 points. They're second place in the Western Conference.
yeah, they got a good start, and they didn't always have that.
And they got to play Dallas. What are you looking at, boy?
That's not even snowing here, but it's snowing wherever it
That's
is.
Utah. It's up in the mountains. It snows a lot in Utah. They love it. They go skiing down that stuff and do crazy things. So there's one type of football we're happy with.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're a soccer fan, the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup, which is kind of the Central America, North America tournament, soccer tournament, 2 quarterfinal games at US Bank Stadium on June 29th.
Whoa.
So if you got a soccer itch, and I didn't go look at the ticket prices, pretty reasonable. I was expecting crazy number price, but it was whatever. So if you're a soccer fan, I thought about it, but soccer inside, anyway.
Yeah,
They couldn't play it at
it's a
Allianz
tough
Field
one.
because it's not big enough. But
Yeah,
I got to talk about Australian rules football.
let's do that. I think that's
Because-
more really exciting sport.
It's great Australian rules
Yeah.
football. My daughter Anna is in Australia right now, and she's on with a tour group. And the people, the leaders of the tour group, surprised them. She's going to watch Australian rules football tonight. 1 a.m. It's on FS2, channel 416 here in the old International Falls area. So she's going to be watching Australian rules football, and I'm not going to be watching it with her. I'm a little jealous, but she's going to watch the Adelaide Crows. So we'll get that recorded.
You
So
ever seen pictures of these guys that play this sport?
they're crazy.
They are
You
just-
think rugby's crazy?
It is. This isn't even close. This is just. Their faces are all mangled. Their bodies are all mangled, and they can't wait to go do it again. They're amazing people.
He asked me this morning, what is Australian rules football? I said, I can't really explain it to you. You gotta watch it in order to be able to try to get it explained.
My wife caught me watching a game here a year or so ago, and she looked and she says, "Are we running low on sports?" I says, "No, this is great. It just."
Will Avi, who lived in Australia for a year
He did.
when his dad was went on a teaching junket, I'll call it that for lack of a better term, and he said, I got to watch this morning I texted him, told him Anna was getting to go to a game, and he said, well, FS2 usually has about 3 or 4 games per week on,
Yeah.
and he says, I've got to watch my team, which I don't know that is. The season just started in March, of course it's coming towards wintertime down there, but
Yeah.
where they play, it's not so bad. Anyway, he's got to watch his team. But the problem is, the games start like tonight or tomorrow morning, 1 a.m. That's when the game starts on FS2. Well, you can only do that so many times a month.
Night shift is really
and,
hard.
And I know what you're saying. Well, just record it.
I can do it.
There's no guarantee that if you recorded that. I recorded the Saturday Night Live special in February.
Oh, I didn't.
You know what? How many times I've got to watch it? 0.
You watch it because it's really good. I remember when they broadcast that.
So I mean that's over 2 months ago. Oh, anyway, so of course we got to talk about the big football. We got to talk about the NFL.
We gotta talk
draft.
about the
It
big
starts on Thursday. I'm sure if you read the Minneapolis paper this morning, they had a interview with Kwesi Adolfo. I can't. Yeah. So, but no. The Vikings only have 4 draft picks at this time. They're picking number 24.
24 in the first round, but I heard that they might be trading up or down for that one. So let's see. There's fandangling going on.
Well, yeah, I think the offer is going to have to be right, and I don't think if they trade it, they don't trade it till that pick is up,
And that very
because they're
well-
going to see
and that could
who's
be-
they're going to see who's available if the right person is there. That he said we don't talk about need. We're not in that spot right now. We've addressed need, and I thought it was a very interesting read. If you don't follow the Star Tribune, you should go find this article. But he talked about the fact that we kind of filled our need through free agency with the 2 offensive linemen and the 2 defensive linemen, and now we can kind of be like let's go see if we can find a home run hitter. Let's go see if we can find somebody who
You know,
can.
you look at that free agency list. It's quite a list.
It is.
There is a lot of talent on there, and it's like Chubb from Cleveland. I wouldn't mind him in my backfield.
Huh?
There's quarterbacks around, so that brings us to the point where Aaron Rodgers. If he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, he's done. But I think his little episode with the Vikings is not going to pan out.
I hope so.
No,
Thank
yeah,
God.
Yeah. So
Our prayers have been answered, Eli.
he says if they don't, and he's mad at the Jets.
Well, he
because-
should be mad at the Jets.
Yeah, but I think
But they should be mad at him as well.
well, why? Because he's throwing his football down at the shoelaces.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did not have a particularly good year.
That article in the Minneapolis paper today basically said that he'd be willing to sign for only $10 million with the right team.
I would too, Eli.
Was that a snort of derision, of laughter?
It was.
Because
He
there
didn't
ain't
know.
no way he's only signing for $10 million. But the reason why he's not signing right now is because he's got family problems going on. I wonder what those, or personal issues. I think maybe it said personal or family. And I'm kind of like, nah, you're just being a dick. You're just being a dick.
He's stuck in an isolation can again. That's the problem with that. But Harrison Smith is coming back, and I think that kind of rearranged what any priority that they might have in the draft
Absolutely.
or in the free agent, because he's going to have another year. And I mean, he's old and he's no good anymore.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that can they find somebody, because Harrison Smith was in that 22
Yeah.
range, drafted out of Notre Dame, if I remember right. Maybe it was higher than that. But that being said, do they try to go find somebody who can learn from him for a year and maybe play around him a little bit, give him, obviously all those players take series off, not in crunch time necessarily, but we'll see what happens.
Also, just taking a look at some of at some of the things that they're looking at, they want both defensive tackles from Georgia. And as I recall, those defensive tackles in Georgia were really good. And so I think that they're still seeing a bit of a need there, although they have picked up some people. But how can you have too many good defensive tackles? So they got those coming up, and they need a center. And here's this Bear from Arkansas State that looks like he has good promise. But he's only 315 pounds, and they want
You gotta fatten up, boy.
to fatten up, eat some pizza, and drink some beer.
So, it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting. We'll try to record a show before the draft on. Maybe we'll do it on Wednesday. We'll see how
We'll bring up the
see
list.
how the calendar plays out here with the weather and rescheduling of games and everything. But
What's amazing about this draft, it is so big and so many people watching it. They have hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people watching it from the outside, and very few of these guys are going to come in and make a difference. That's what's kind of amazes me. You have to be really good to strap on and play in that league, and some of these guys, they can be all the All-Americans they want to be. They haven't reached that level yet, and it's just so it takes the time.
we talked a lot about how the draft changes as teams pick the surprises. Atlanta picking the Penix out of Washington last year, kind of everybody's brains were like, what's going on? Those types of things. Atlanta, kind of decided this is the guy we wanted, and he's here, and we're drafting him. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens at the top. Seemed like a quarterback was going to be the number one pick. I don't think that's the case anymore. This kid out of Penn State.
Did you see Cam Ward as being the first pick?
The more I'm hearing, the more that no.
Okay.
They're talking about this Abdul Carter, from Penn State, that he is a can't miss Lawrence Taylor
He is a
type
can't
player.
miss. Yeah.
And how do you decide? Those are big decisions, especially when you're talking about drafting number one. Because if you blow it, they're never going to let you forget it.
Penn State had some receivers. They go Warren at the tight end and Carter at the wide receiver. I mean, no wonder they had such a good team. They did good things there. So We'll
It'll be
see what
interesting.
happens. I
So,
wouldn't
yeah,
mind.
so the draft next Thursday night, like I said, we'll try to get a show recorded. And George said we should bring in, Bolstead, who, he's the guru.
I like to watch him get excited.
Well, that doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't.
Just tell him how good the Wild are, and he'll let you have it for, for about 15 minutes.
I did that. I says, I see them improving a whole lot. Do you? No.
Get him going. So.
Get them going.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. This is, me. I'm just a little bit of a historian person. So this is what it's
Talking
going to
to
be.
you, boy.
250 years ago. You know what happened?
What?
250 years ago.
In the Old North
17th
Church in Boston. they
April
put up-
18th. You're right.
April 18th, and they put up 1 if by land, 2 if by sea signals, and that was the start of the American Revolution.
I did. You're right. It's April 18th. You're
And
right.
then Paul Revere and a guy named William Dawes, so people don't realize it wasn't just Paul. He and William Dawes went and they didn't actually the lights, as it turns out, were kind of superfluous because they knew what they were doing anyway. They were already on the run, and the British troops came across in a boat, and so that was 2 if by water.
Tell us, George, what book you're reading.
I'm reading the book called Trapped in Hitler's Web. It's about a girl. They're in World War II. They're running away from the Nazis, and then they try to get work to get money to send home to their families, and then they get stuck in Austria and work there for like a lot of years.
See, that's where your heritage comes from. That is, you're reading those kind of books, my man.
I knew that would make George happy.
I just love that.
So.
It's a long book too.
I think it's a book that maybe half of his parents maybe think he's a little too young for it, but there's half of us saying you got to know that. Hope I'm not speaking out of turn, Mother.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Anyway,
anything else?
I take a look around here. No, I think that's probably pretty much it for me.
Hopefully spring sports gets in full earnest. The baseball team actually played 3 games in the last week. The Bronco baseball team winning 2 out of 3. They lost to St. Paul Highland Park last Friday, but they beat Lake of the Woods and Deer River this week.
Well, give me some names up from that baseball team.
Well, you might remember the quarterback from the football team.
Yeah.
They played out at Badette on Tuesday, and he only went 5 for 5 with 7 RBI.
Nothing the matter with that.
Not too shabby about that.
No.
You got Torrin Thompson out there in center field roaming things around. Keaton Mace, he's going to give you quality innings on the mound. He's going to give elsewhere. Caleb Joslin behind the dish, I think he's going to be all right. Emmett Olson. There you go. How's that for a Freudian? Anyway, Emmett Olson looks like he'll be playing at first base. Your favorite bartender's son's been playing second base.
All right.
So, I don't know what to expect. Hopefully, they get to play Cherry on Monday at home, possibly.
On Monday here,
if the field clears up, and of course Cherry may be considered the favorite to return to the state tournament in Class A. Although Southridge, Uncle Paul, if you're watching, I know where whatever. Southridge went down and beat Randolph, who was considered the prohibitive favorite last year to win the state title. Southridge went down, beat them 4-2. Cherry also made a big trip south and won a couple of games. So I don't know what to expect if we're going to get to play that game at home on Monday, but you want to come out and watch a good baseball team. Cherry will be a good baseball team, and it'll be interesting to see who head coach Phil Talmadge decides to throw out there on the hill to take on the Tigers. Yeah, like I said, if it happens. Softball team won their only game. They were out in Badette, won 13-0. They're supposed to play Roseau at home on Monday afternoon in a doubleheader. So we'll see. I know there's some concerns about if Mother Nature is going to be nice to us. She's got a wind. There's a breeze going on out there, but we need a little sun to help dry up those fields. Otherwise, we're going to have to make some alternate plans, and that's where an AD's job is never done in the spring.
Well, I got to say this about the last 3 years of Bronco athletes. They've been a highlight. In the last 10 years, they've been the best. They've performed well. Football, hockey, baseball. They've got some really good athletes. A lot of them are returning.
And I can only say this. The football schedule for next season came out yesterday, was finalized yesterday in a meeting that I didn't get to go to because we had a funeral to go to, so I didn't get to go to the meeting. But the schedule is out. I can't tell you because we've been sworn to secrecy till Tuesday. so that they can make sure that everything is right. Everybody gets a chance, and they don't want to do it over Easter weekend. People are supposed to have Easter weekend off, and
really
so Tuesday
considerate.
I can tell you, I will tell you that we play at home the first two games of the season. I think I can say that we start the season with 2 home games and we end the season with 2 road games. Will you be going to the Bronco football games at home?
Yeah. Hey,
He goes to
me
the
too.
games. I don't know how much he watches.
Hey, I've been watching a little
Stop,
bit more
stop.
Bronco hockey now.
He's getting better. Doesn't have to go run around so much. He can actually sit down and watch the game, and that makes his dad quite happy.
Yeah, that run around during the game though, that's kind of tradition. So it don't. You're
Anything you want to add before we sign off?
There's too many tornadoes on the news right now.
There's too many tornadoes. He's watching the Weather Channel over here at the Rainy and
I've
Muni.
seen at least 15 different ones.
It's crazy. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Bye.